Final video from me. I hope these have been of use. I've kind of given up on the graphics a little bit. Got a bit lazy. We all do it. Anyway, we've looked previous in the last video. We looked at the threats to your online, your security of your computer. Let's have a look at some of the actions to reduce threat level. You can never eliminate threat level. The only safe computer is the one that's encased in concrete at the bottom of the Mariner's Trench in is it the Pacific Ocean? I don't know. Or just don't have a computer. Yeah, no threats then if you don't have the computer. But of course, we don't live in that world. So, actions you can do. Sharing information. Now, we live in a social media driven world. And by social media driven world, I mean this word really predominantly for you. Some of you may go on to use Twitter later on, but it's Facebook. And you kids do love to post your information onto Facebook. Now, let's be honest about it. If you're going to be putting up things like your mother's maiden name, the name of your cat, your favourite city, the common security questions, you're going to put up your email address, you're going to put up your telephone number, your name, address, etc. Well, you're an idiot, aren't you, to be honest with about you? Because what we're basically trying to get at here is that we need you to start to think. Okay? The bottom line is, if I want to harvest data about you and learn more about you to enable me to perhaps guess passwords that you might use to access stuff, I can work through your Facebook account. So you need to think. You also need on Facebook to think about the settings that you have, set it up so it's private, so only your friends can see it. Those sorts of things. You know, identity thieves can actually piece together quite a lot of information about you from what you're putting online. So you really need to be thinking about what you're putting online. You know, the expression is you're your own worst enemy when it comes to that. So, you know, I'm not going to lecture you. You've probably had all the training, cyber safety and all that. You should know this by now. I'm just saying, start to think, because at the end of the day, if you don't think, you have the potential to lose money, and that's one thing you don't want to be losing. Number 2, passwords. We did a video earlier on about what makes a good and poor password. My advice, once again, if you haven't watched that video, is that sure, all right, you know, if you're going to support Chelsea, stupid team, I don't know why. Well, your password could be a capital C, an H, an E, an L, a 5, an E, and an A. Okay, uppercase, lowercase, 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 number, lowercase, lowercase. That's a bit difficult for someone to perhaps hack into, but of course it's very easy for you to remember. And my advice is, if you're going to go to Hotmail, stick an H on the end and an L on the end. If you're going to go to PayPal, you can still have Chelsea, ditto, P and an L. If you're going to go to Amazon, A and N. That way you only remember one password, but it is different for every single website that you access. Which is the golden rules. Use different passwords for different sites. Okay? Now, that is important, kids. You want to learn that one, and that's my technique for doing it. Maybe you might want to get really cryptic and say, well, and people might realize that you can do H and L for Hotmail, so maybe I will use A, B, C, D, F, G, and JK. So I'm going to do is Hotmail, but I'm taking one off each time, or I'm adding, you know, I and L, M, I and M. So I, Chelsea M, is my password for Hotmail. That's a bit harder, even harder to guess. I don't care how you do it. Just make sure that you don't have the same passwords for everything online, because if someone can access and that they manage to hack into your PayPal account, well, they can get to your Amazon, to your, I don't know, PayPal, Amazon, I'm trying to think of the ones now, iTunes. They can get into anything if you're only using one password for everything. So don't be silly. It's your own fault. Number 3, the padlock symbol. I should have done a screen dump, really, to be honest with you. When you're viewing a website, at the top, is the browser address bar where you put your www in. There are two things that you need to check for to make sure that a site is genuinely secure before you start putting your credit card details into these boxes here. Okay? First of all, you need to check that the address has HTTPS. That means secure. And also at the end of the bar, the www bit goes in there, you should see the padlock symbol. Okay? That means that the data here, and I won't bore you with it, but it's all been encrypted, which means that ultimately that site, in theory, is secure. If somebody's got the decryption key, of course, then it's not secure. But that's very, very unlikely. At the end of the day, that's the important bit. Never, ever, ever put your credit card details or personal details into a site that doesn't have that and doesn't have that. That's a very big mistake on your part if you were to do that. And as we've indicated before, email from the unknown. Look, the bottom line is that this is spam. It's designed to try and get you to fill in details, to get, or not fill in, I think that's the wrong word, I think we'll change that to give away details. Now the bottom line is if you get emails from people that you don't know, and they're asking you to give personal details, then all you've got to do is delete them. If you're stupid enough to go and then go, oh, yeah, I have no idea who this is from, but they're asking me for my credit card. Oh, I'll fill that in, no problem. Well, then, you know, Darwin's law and all that, maybe you're not fit to have a credit card and use the internet. But just, and also the thing is that, I'll give you another thing. Sometimes you get spam, and it'll say, if you want to unsubscribe, click here. And some of those are just like devices to basically confirm that your email address is valid. Never ever, the other golden rule is never reply. Never reply to emails. Don't send a reply back saying, please remove from your mailing list. All you're doing is you're confirming that your email address is valid and active, which is something you don't really want to be doing. Right, so we've talked about actions that you can take to try and help prevent your increase your own data security. Let's talk about now some of the steps that you can take by installing sort of hardware and software. And we'll introduce a couple of words for you. Firewall. The reality is that I'll do this as a diagram here. You're sat on your computer. There it is. There's your computer, desktop PC, and you're connected out to the internet. And I'm just going to draw that line like that. So you're connected to the internet, and that enables you to go off to what I say it's Google. You're interested in that site. But by being connected to the internet, it also means that a hacker is able to potentially access your computer. Okay? Now, what that means is that you really need to have some form of defense that stops people getting in. Now, this could be software that's installed on your machine here, and we'll talk about what the firewall does in a moment. And the firewall software could be installed on your machine, and that's common at home. In the world of work, we will actually have another basically big box there, another computer, if you like, a little server there that will act as a piece of hardware. If I draw it like that, and maybe I can't really edit that, but the whole point is another computer, all right? And it's a piece of hardware that also is running, ultimately it's still running software that acts as a firewall. But the way that I always get my students to think about this is that this blocking, and it could be here or it could be here, it doesn't really matter, but it acts like a bouncer on a nightclub door. And the whole point is that when you send your information out through the internet to Google, you're basically sending out your IP address of your computer, and you send a little message to Google, and it says, "Dear Google, I am IP address," let's say I'll do 1.2.3.4. I'm IP address 1234, and I want you to send me some stuff that I'm looking for. And Google's address can be, I don't know, 5678. That's this computer up here, 5.6.7.8. So, what happens is your message goes out, Okay, and the bouncer is basically sends it out, and then the data comes back from Google with your request saying you've been looking for, I don't know, roller skates. Here's my stuff that I've got about roller skates. Here's my search results, and the bouncer says, hold on a minute. Gets to this point here, put the next there, and it says, who's this information come from? And because when you send information out, you're stamping it with your IP, and it's almost like basically, I want to send to this address, and I am from this address. So this address gets it, and it says, oh, let's send this back to 1234, and it gets to this point, and the firewall goes, right, I've got a message for 1234. I recognise that's my club. Okay, who's it come from? It's come from 5678. Hold on a minute. The person inside here has said your name's on the list. You can come in. If the hacker is at an IP address, I don't know, let's say 9.9.9.9.9, I mentioned 6.6.6. Anyway, you get the idea. The whole point is that they're going to send, when they're sending information to try and hack your computer, they're stamping the packets of data that get sent down there with their IP address. And the bouncer here is saying, hold on a minute, 9.9.9.9, my 1234 computer has never been communicating with this IP address. Your name's not on the list. You're not coming in. Okay, so that's what a firewall does. It's a piece of hardware, normally in a big network, which has software running on it, or it can just be a piece of software on your computer. It could actually be on, for example, a lot of you, it could be on at school, we've got a big box. At your home, you're probably going to connect via your wireless router, which is going to have a firewall installed on it, and that's connected through the phone line to the internet. The say wireless router is what you've probably got at home. And that's got a firewall on it as well. And that software on there is designed to check that the IP addresses match up stuff that it's expecting to come into this computer. If it doesn't, it'll reject it. So that's what a firewall does. Okay? So a firewall is a piece of software or hardware that's designed to stop intruders and hackers. But of course, you'll often get yourself you've gone onto Hotmail and someone sent you an email. So you're on Hotmail and your firewall's going, oh, Hotmail's IP, or go back to Google's 5678, recognise that, I'll let you in. And of course what you've got is you've had an email, and you've got yourself an email that has a link on it. And you're stupid, so you go, oh, I have no idea who this email is from, but this link looks very interesting, so I'm going to click it. And of course that you click it, and it turns out that it is in fact a virus or a worm or a Trojan or a piece of malware or spyware, whatever it's going to be. It's bad news. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that you have antivirus software installed on your computer. In fact, I would go further than that. You probably want to make sure that you have anti-spyware installed on your computer, and further than that, I would probably say you want to make sure you've got anti-malware installed on your computer. Now, there are certain companies that will bundle all three of these up together. I think if the likes of Norton, which at my school we don't rate, or McAfee, which at my school we don't rate, or McAfee, I think I might have spelled that wrong, there's only one F, or Kaspersky, which we quite like. They have all these bundled up together. But in fact, you can get all three of them for free. At the moment, we're recommending Avast. The most popular is AVG. For spyware, there's Spyware Doctor, Spy Doctor, can't remember it, something like that. And our favourite for malware is Malware Bytes. And what these are, they're all software that will scan to detect bad things, and then you are able, if you want to delete them from your computer. But here is the big word. People are making viruses, worms, Trojans every single day. You have to make sure that if you have antivirus software, you keep it updated. If you haven't got the latest version of AVG or Avast, go and get it. Make sure that your computer is set up to update your antivirus all the time. There are other. I mean, those are the major things. You know, you've got your fire. You can download firewalls as well. I think Zone Alarm, something like that, is one. It's an old one back in the day, but I don't know if it's still going. But you've probably got one on your router already, so I wouldn't worry about it. But you need to make sure that you have got yourself. And I would recommend googling. I'm sure it's Spyware Doctor. I think it was a Spy Doctor. Something. Google it. Just put anti-spyware. It'll be the #1 hit. Get it installed and run it as well, because you never know what's sitting on your computer. It could be all sorts of baddies. A couple of the things that you could do to improve your data security. You can actually, in your let's put in 3. Most email now will allow you to set up spam filters and spam traps and to block senders, which is something that I do a lot on Hotmail over the years. I've had so much rubbish that's come through that I can actually block domains from actually sending me anything if I want to. So one of the things that you can do is that, because sometimes spam can come through and it can be very clever. The worst ones I always find, they come from someone and it's got like perhaps an English name, and you've got one from John Smith and it says no subject, and you think it might be, and you click on it and you open it up, and you know, it's kind of, they're the ones that get me. But what we're trying to do is that you can actually also get, you know, anti-spam software. This is normally bundled up with antivirus software anyway, but it's really designed to detect spam mail, because detect spam, because I keep saying because, don't I? This is kind of like the #1 way in which people will get into your computers. It's spam software with stuff with a hidden payload on it, or whatever that's going to be. So, you know, do some investigation when you get home. Have a look to see if you can set up spam filters on whatever software that you have, and see if you can lock down and try and reduce the amount of spam that you get. If you're using Hotmail, really have a look at that block senders thing. If you're continually getting emails that you don't want from particular domains, you can actually block the entire domain. It's quite easy to do. And the final thing, and we've dealt with it before, and funnily enough, I have a staff meeting in 2 days' time on Monday. It's Saturday, I'm in school, and we're being directed at our school that we must now consider encrypting all data that we take home on memory sticks, and so we'll encrypt our memory sticks. I also believe that we're going to be looked to encrypting data on our laptops that are school property that are taken off-site. And data encryption really needs to be applied to data that is taken away from the physical work location. And it's something that you might want to investigate yourself, just for, not for fun, is perhaps not the right word, but it's just a very cool technique that you can use. The bottom line is we've been through the video before. It's on a previous video. If you want to go back to it, I've forgotten what it was entitled, but the whole point is that, as a quick reminder, is that basically you've got data and you need to have a decryption key program run to decrypt the data, and that could is normally done. You've got to type a password in and then it'll run the decryption so it makes sense. I mean, my wife, for example, she has a memory stick from the NHS, and NHS are very hot on this, and every time she puts the memory stick in, it comes up with a little window that says what is the password, and you have to put a password in. Otherwise, you can view the contents. I think you can still access the files of the memory stick, but they're going to be encrypted, and encryption, as a quick reminder, just means the data is simply scrambled. And it is only when that password is put in that the decryption key will run to unscramble it, so you can actually make sense of what is on the memory stick itself. So there we go. That's pretty much it. That's every aspect, I think, of the Cambridge Nationals R001 course covered. If I've missed something, please do email teachict.com, and I will endeavour to put a few more videos on this one, but I don't think I have them. So good luck with your exam.